Ladies and gentlemen, keynote address. Let's welcome Senior Special Advisor to the President on Digital Economy, Tega Ogra. Put your hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Mr. President, if you would permit me to stand on your already established protocols. I think I first got the invitation for this event first, and then a couple of weeks later, I saw that rep your brand. And the first question I had to ask myself was, what brand do I represent? A couple of months ago, I was a Chief Corporate Communications Officer and Director of Corporate Communications at Boa Group. Now, I represent my principal, the President of Nigeria. Do I represent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Do I represent the Nigerian people? Or do I represent Boa? So I decided to be on the safe side. I borrowed something from our ex-president, Muhammadu Buhari, and that was, I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody. So that made me wear a suit today with a touch of red in my tie, and then the green is in my socks. Good evening, everyone. Today, I would like to speak. I've been invited to speak on marketing, the persistent engine of business growth. We all know what marketing is. We have CMOs here, we have our heads of agencies here, we have our stakeholders here, we have regulators and everything. It's a sort of interesting topic now for me because also, 2 years ago, I was appointed to or elected to Advan as one of the executive committee members. Should I come here to speak on behalf of Advan, or I should come here to speak on behalf of the government who the regulator or the just recently named regulator represents? Or do I just come as someone with experience in marketing who has practiced, who has also consulted, and speak truth to, should I say, power? Whether it's from Lagos, from the bustling streets of Lagos to the, ever-expansive digital highway globally, marketing has come to stay. Every time I discuss with my president, I say something. I say, marketing may change in its form and style, but at the end of the day, the framework and what makes marketing tick never changes. The body may change, but you see the foundation of marketing remains the same all through history, from biblical times to now. From the intricate streets of Lagos to the digital highways of the world, marketing is the unseen force driving growth and change. Marketing is not just a business function. It's a strategic tool for creating value, for building relationships and influencing behavior. It's also a powerful instrument for fostering development, promoting democracy, and enhancing peace. As marketers, we have the responsibility and the opportunity to use our skills and creativity for the greater good of our society and of the world. Marketing in its purest form is more than just an art. It's the science of the art of storytelling. It's about weaving the kind of narratives that captivates, convince, and connects. Every brand, every product, every person, everything we do tells a story. And these stories shape consumer perceptions, they change our decisions, and they build identities. But most importantly, this is true for businesses. And this is true for the economy of any nation. And that is why I'll first speak about nation branding. Nation branding extends beyond just marketing. It's about strategically shaping a country's image, highlighting our strengths, our culture, our potential to the global audience. Effective nation branding can transform, international perceptions, attract tourism and investment, and also instill pride. I hear a lot of young people these days throw the country under the bus, more especially because in my role, I get the first attacks before Mr. President does. He might see it in my reports or when he checks his phone later in the day, but I see it real time online. And there's a clear and present danger. Countries world over have used nation branding as a tool for national growth, economic development, and to raise their GDPs. And it's not a new concept. It has been practiced for centuries by countries, by empires, seeking to project their power, prestige, and influence. In this age of globalization and digitization, nation branding has become more important and more challenging. Everyone is competing for attention. It can have a significant impact on our economy. It can have a significant impact on our social being and our political outcomes, as we saw in the last elections. There was a survey done in 2021, the Arnold's Ipsos Nation Branding Survey, and they looked at 6 things for nation branding. 6 dimensions: exports, governance, culture, people, tourism, and investments. And it says that a 1-point increase in a nation's, nation branding or overall score can lead to a 0.75 increase in GDP per capita and a 1.2% increase in its exports. Beyond the numbers, what this says is that there's a very, very holy relationship between nation branding, economic outcomes, governments, and businesses. You cannot take one without the other. You cannot do one to the exclusion of the other. And I'll use South Korea as an example. We all know K-pop. We know Gangnam Style. We know all the beautiful K-pop artists and their music going on everywhere. A lot of people watched, the interesting Netflix documentary from Korea last year. And you have the giants, from Samsung to the chaebols. South Korea has crafted dutifully and beautifully an image of modernity, culture, and technological advancements. And it has elevated their global standing, and also, impacted big time on the economy and growth. That same survey that I quoted earlier ranked South Korea 12th globally, up from 23rd in 2008. So it's a recent, as much as they've been trying to grow for the past few years or decades, their nation branding initiatives has actually improved their economy in recent times. Bringing that locally, we are blessed with a very rich culture. I saw something down there, it says Africa to the world. But more often than not, when people talk about Africa to the world, they're talking about Nigeria, the heart of Africa, to the world. And guess where Nigeria stands? Nigeria is 49th out of 60 countries. It simply means there's a huge gap for us to fill. We have not tapped our nation branding potential, and where it is being tapped, we hear some complaints in the room, like my honorable president just said, that overregulation might be stifling that creativity. Nigeria's nation branding value stands at $428 billion, or will hit about $428 million, by next year, making it the 32nd most valuable brand in the world. But how have we translated that in a very strategic manner, to national and economic gains? There's a huge gap between our reality as a nation and our perception. We must bridge this gap by telling our stories. We must showcase our achievements. We must put structure around those, areas where Nigeria is beginning to make the name, whether it's in the arts and culture, whether it's in the creative economy, music, entertainment, and all that. And everyone in this room has a part to play. And for us to actually effectively do that, we say budgets are tight. But like I said earlier on, remember, marketing, its form, its style, its structure might change, but the fundamentals remain the same. A couple of years back, digital marketing came into being. How are we using it? It has changed the way we communicate. It has changed the way we engage. The platforms, you see a lot of Nigerians there. You see on TikTok, the most visited brands or the most visited hashtags on TikTok are the Arewa community brands. Hashtags. Down south, you see more of a Facebook and an Instagram thing. How are we tapping into those potentials, not only to boost our businesses, but also to create the synergies that help, our nation take its pride of place amongst the community of nations. But digital marketing also poses challenges and risks. I get the attacks, I see the things. Never has Nigeria been so divided. Nigeria has always had some divisions, but never have we been so divided as with regards to politics like the last elections. Misinformation, disinformation, propaganda with no other aim other than to, cause further divisions. And we need to protect our privacy because there's a lot of things, in the name of going to press first, leaks, our reputation, and for those especially in the entertainment space and our startups, we need to find ways to protect their IPs. We need to ensure that our digital marketing strategies align with our overall marketing objectives and goals. Again, the correlation between marketing and economic growth cannot be overstated. Whether it's in agriculture, technology, fashion, we must not only boost sales, but we must also attract investments. We must create employment opportunities and elevate our profile. And marketing is well poised to play that role. By encouraging research, development, collaboration, marketing can help us leverage our competitive advantage and our comparative advantages and exploit new opportunities. Marketing can also contribute to the social and economic stability of our economy. And we must adopt responsible marketing practices. We must address the social and environmental challenges, both as a government and as individuals with the means of our people. And we must create shared value. Shared value brings about positive impact for stakeholders and our communities. And also, we must also enable and ensure that we use sustainable and ethical marketing practices. And this comes to the next point, which is data. Data is key to marketing. You cannot grow with marketing or anything without having access to the right data. Data changes worlds. By purposely and effectively utilizing data, we can see where the issues are, we can make amends, we can help the country determine where to put its best resources. And then for our JACPA community, we can know what skills need to be brought back home, which we as a government and as individual businesses and persons can then push or use in our national branding initiatives. I would like to highlight at least 2 Nigerian success stories because across Nigeria, across many of the brands here, many of whom we win awards today, our stories are filled with innovation, our rich stories, successes, and resilience. From our entrepreneurs to our artists, our technologists, we are making impacts locally and globally. And that's shown us how marketing can be used to create value and solve problems. Flutterwave, for instance. Flutterwave is a fintech. Many know it, some don't, but utilize the platforms. They were founded in 2016 as a wholly owned Nigerian company. And as of today, they are processing over $9 billion in transactions. That is a Nigerian company. They're servicing over 300,000 businesses. That is a Nigerian company. And that shows what can happen if a Nigerian business, decides to look global, pursue its activities and its businesses in line with well-established marketing, procedures and everything. And I see a lot of brands here. I've had people come to me and complain, Tega, what is happening with the economy? And I've also been in rooms on the other side, on the policy side, where people say, oh, the exchange rate is going high. A lot of people are complaining about the exchange rates. And I'm speaking for myself and not on behalf of the president or the government. But I also know, and I've also heard with very strong arguments, that at this point in time, maybe a strong exchange rate is not what we need as a country, to go where we need to go. I have seen marketers who have refused to be held down by, the constraints of the exchange rates and start to look at their business models, because marketing is very critical to any business. It's the soul and heart of a business, more important than anything, because it encompasses all aspects of the businesses. and those that took advantage of this seemingly bad situation and said, for instance, like a company that I know is already currently exporting, their bottom line has increased 3x between the end of last year and the third quarter results. Simply by, looking at marketing, looking at all the pillars of marketing, and deciding that we are not going to be held down by whatever the economic situation is. We'll look at our business, we'll retool our business, and we'll make the best of it. So that is what marketing can do for you. My second example will be Boa Group. Boa was a company that I worked for, and I remember joining Boa on the 1st of June 2015. And my first meeting with the chairman, it was like, oh, Tega, we really do not need to do a lot of these things, We know our customers, they buy our products, our distributors pick up our products. We're doing 98, 105% capacity utilization in a lot of our plants. Why do we need marketing? I did not have an answer to him then because I hadn't done my audits of the business. But I looked at him and said, sir, if we don't start looking at this, I want to believe you want to grow your business beyond where it is. But if we don't start looking at this, who knows, in 4 years, you might not have a business anymore. And he says, Tega, I would let you go do your work. And we went to work. In about 5 years, with limited advertising, because I knew I didn't have the full management buy-in. So we said, hey, why do we need to do advertising, which is one aspect of marketing? And why not focus on where our strengths lie? We wanted to go and expand, our cement factories. We wanted to go into the foods businesses. And I said, why don't we use strategic communications, or any other means, speaking directly to the stakeholders, that's our financiers, people that will partner with in future, those that will help build our plants. Why don't we start speaking to those people on the platforms that they see? And guess what? In about 6 years, the company listed its cement business on the stock exchange. From a business that was, I think, about 40-something on the stock exchange then, now it's the 4th or 5th largest company on the Nigerian stock exchange. Based on that and based on the successes of that, we said, why don't we do the same thing for food? And we started working on our foods businesses, consolidating them, expanding the reach, expanding how we spoke to all our key audiences, expanding our distribution lines and supply chains. And in 2 years, beginning of last year, Boa Foods listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange as the largest foods business on the exchange. Today, both companies are sitting 6 and 7 amongst all the publicly listed companies in Africa. That's the power of marketing. Marketing does not necessarily need to be loud, but marketing is very, very important in building value. By bringing those two businesses, which are owned by one man, all the value was stored in his family, all the value was stored in his bank accounts. By bringing those two businesses out to the stock exchange, he has created value for Nigeria, has created value for the people out there, has created value for shareholders. And we're seeing it, in its business. Marketing can also play a pivotal role in promoting national unity and pride. By highlighting our collective achievements, we can foster a sense of belonging and pride amongst Nigerians. This internal marketing for Nigeria by Nigerians to the world, will strengthen our national identity and unify us as a people. We have a huge outflux of people from Nigeria, especially young people, some of our brightest brains, some of our not so best hands, who go out there and embarrass us. But for everybody that goes out there to embarrass our country called Nigeria, we have a lot of Nigerians doing exceptionally well and exceptionally proud. How do we route these people back into this country, either by value addition or getting them to share skills or bringing money into this country? Navigating challenges and seizing opportunities. The challenge of regulation in marketing. I've taken the first few minutes to speak across board, as to why marketing is important for us as a nation. And this is a little bit tough, like I said earlier, because I am also speaking as a member of the executive committee of Advan. But I also must speak as a representative of government. And I realize that despite all the challenges we face, whether they are infrastructural, economic, or social. Every obstacle presents an opportunity. I just give an example now of the FX crisis, an obstacle that has been turned into opportunities. Marketing these solutions effectively can and will turn our challenges into narratives of triumph and resilience. We must understand that marketing is more than just a business activity. My president was saying it earlier on pricing amongst agencies and marketing and brands. What I did not say when I was telling the Boa story was because we had been beaten down in the past by some agencies, my first order of business when I got into Boa was to develop a purely internal agency. That was bad for agencies, that was bad for business, that was bad for the country. Because in doing so, I effectively removed money from the economy. Yes, I'm paying a couple more staff who might have generalist knowledge and generalist skills, but a lot more could have benefited if the enabling environment was right. If the enabling environment encouraged me to still use the agencies over. And I had a lot of fights with a lot of my egbons in the agencies, who headed agencies. But later we were able to come to an agreement. We want to see Nigerian brands work with Nigerian agencies. We want to expand whatever it is Nigerian brands are spending on marketing. Because by spending more on marketing, by investing more in marketing, we can get people to purchase more. And by purchasing more, we can boost our economy. We need everyone to come to the same table and have a conversation. Marketing has had a significant impact on the quality, legality, and social responsibility of our products and services. This is why regulation is necessary to ensure that marketing activities are conducted in a manner that respects the rights and interests of all stakeholders, including consumers, business, and the society. On the other hand, regulation is the process of setting and enforcing rules and standards for marketing and its activities. Regulation should first aim to protect the consumers from deceptive, misleading, or harmful marketing practices, such as false or exaggerated claims, unfair or hidden charges, or unsafe or defective products. Regulation also aims to promote fair competition amongst businesses by preventing unfair and anti-competitive practices, such as price fixing, market domination, or IP infringement. Regulation must also aim to support our society's social and economic development by encouraging innovation, quality, and differentiation in our products and services. However, I agree, I know, and a lot of us all know here, including our regulator seated here, that regulation is not without its challenges and drawbacks. A lot of the businesses here have multiple regulators. We have regulators, whether you're in the foods business or, the manufacturing business. The chairman of MAN is here, the president of MAN is here. Anything you're doing in this country, chances are that you have a regulator already, or in the financial services industry. And we know what the challenges are. We know what the drawbacks are. Sometimes regulation, when not done properly, can impose unnecessary costs, restrict creativity, and create barriers for entry to marketers, especially for small and medium enterprises, which are a critical, focus group for this government. Small businesses, we had people who, without government support, started to set up businesses around the digital marketing space. And today, they're seeing our regulator as a tool, to pull them down. I have been of the support. I remember when we had the meeting 2 years ago, or 3 years ago actually, the so-called, the interesting phone call of all CMOs. And I said it then. It was a warning I gave then, and the chicken has come on to roast. I said we needed to get a legal explanation of what ISOP was. It wasn't about whether ISOP is right for business or wrong for business. Regulation is good, but how you go about regulation can actually have the opposite effects. And I said, let's call our lawyers into the room and let them give us their legal opinion so that we can sit down with regulators and all. There was hardly any marketer in that room that day, anybody representing the brand, that didn't feel like it was negative. But I know where the agencies were coming from. I also knew where the regulator was coming from. And I believe we would have been able to reach that middle ground earlier if everybody had come to the table, put their egos aside, and discussed. There's no CMO seated in this room today who isn't in favor of self-regulation. We can regulate ourselves. And now I'm speaking both as a government and as someone from this side. We can regulate ourselves. In Europe, for instance, EASA, they see self-regulation as key. In fact, they even have funds for countries looking to push self-regulation as key. There's nobody in this room who will be chided by, a group of their peers in the name of self-regulation that would not fix up. And where that fails, then we can have a second level regulation with the regulator. Regulation can also be overdone, undone, or inconsistent, resulting in negative consequences for the industry and society, just like the company that Mr. President mentioned earlier. And I remember him saying it. And when that issue came up, this is billions of naira in advertising spent every year, pulled out of Nigeria by a multinational, which felt that a regulator had bullied them and not giving them the chance to make a case. That isn't regulation. That is policing. And there's a total difference. I heard someone say strangulation, but I'll try not to say that. I believe we can police in a better manner that brings value to businesses and the government. Regulation also needs to consider the benefits and the costs, the risks and opportunities, and the needs and expectations of all stakeholders. For instance, over-regulation, as we are seeing now, can stifle innovation. It is stifling innovation, can reduce competitiveness and create bureaucracy. Under-regulation also, because this is the flip side of it. I am not saying don't regulate. If there's under-regulation can also lead to consumer exploitation by brands. We've seen a lot of brands do that. And I think we need to tell ourselves the truth as brand leaders, as marketing heads. We need to stop exploiting consumers. I'll use BUA as an instance. A couple of months ago, BUA reduced the ex-factory price of its cement to 3,500 naira. Despite reducing the price of its cement to 3,500 naira, we had a lot of middlemen who were engaged in price gouging, and trying to keep it at the same pricing as competitors. I know how much the brand spends in trying to fix that. As we look to the future, the role of marketing in national development becomes clear. The way we market our country, our products, and our culture will significantly influence our trajectory as a nation and position in the global community. Technology will revolutionize and continue to revolutionize marketing. Whether it's in AI or whatsoever means, technology will. We need to see more collaboration between businesses, governments, and communities to amplify our marketing efforts and to build a cohesive national brand. To sustain and grow our marketing prowess, we must invest in education and talent development. A lot of beautiful minds and the best brains are leaving marketing, or some we don't know whether they will go into marketing agency side afterwards. And we are not getting value. The quality of those at the bottom of the chain are not what we need in this country. We need to do more. We need to do better as leaders in the marketing space. Marketing and public policy, finally, are deeply interconnected. Effective marketing will support public policy goals. And as we embrace the multifaceted roles of marketing, we must unite behind a vision where marketing is not just business, but must drive national growth. Our collective efforts must propel Nigeria towards a future marked by prosperity. In closing, and finally, I challenge everyone seated in this room to view marketing as a mission for Nigeria, a mission to innovate, a mission to inspire, and a mission to unite. We must use marketing to paint a picture of Nigeria that the world must and will admire and respect. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you today. God bless you.
A round of applause one more time for Tega. Thank you, we can do better. Tega, thank you very much.